Hey, it's Eric with ESE Prep. Today we're going to go over the No Calculator section of the October 2019 SAT. And shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, but let's go through it fairly quickly. The first question is, what is the solution to the equation 2x plus 3 equals 7? So basic algebra, question 2x plus 3 equals 7. I just rearrange by moving the 3 the other side, and that becomes 2x equals 7 minus 3, or 2x equals 4, x equals 2. All right, pretty straightforward question. Number 2 says, which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? The expression above is 2x cubed plus 3x times x cubed minus 2x. So all I really need to do with this, I got the 2x cubed, right, in the first parentheses, and I've got the x cubed in the second parentheses. I just need to multiply that first term, okay? 2x cubed times x cubed is 2x to the 6th, and the only answer choice that has that as the first term is C. So that's the answer to question number 2. Question number 3 is a graph. It says, which of the graph y equals f of x is shown on the xy plane? What's the value of f of 0? Okay, f of 0 just means what's the y value when x is 0, when x is at this point. And so if you look at the graph, you see it crosses around or exactly at -8. Okay, I just drew part of the graph there, but that's the only part you need. So answer choice A for number 3. Okay, for number 4, it's a long word problem. Basically, just do it in 2 parts, okay? It says city transit bus line charges $2 for an adult and $1 for a child. So you keep those together, 2 for adult, 1 for child. And if you read the rest of the problem, it says during a 4-hour shift, the bus driver collects $1,171 from 617 riders. So you get 2A plus 1C equals 1171. And then you know the sum of the adults and children, because A represents the number of adult fares, C represents the number of child fares. That's got to equal 617. So the only one that matches that is D. But again, do it in 2 parts. Figure out each part separately, and it'll be pretty straightforward as to what the answer should be. Number 5, kind of a tricky word problem, but word and geometry problem involving similar triangles. Once you understand what they're saying, it's not that tricky. Basically, it's saying when you have similar triangles, corresponding angles have the same measurement. So it says, which of the following is not true? The measure of angle E is 3 times the measure of angle B. Those are corresponding angles. And in similar triangles, they would not be, they would be the same. Okay, so that's the answer choice B for question number 5. For question number 6, it says in the xy plane, the y coordinate of the y-intercept of the graph of the function f is C. Which of the following must be equal to C? So it's just a lot of nomenclature here, but basically they're just saying, they just want the y-intercept, and that's equal to f of 0, because this represents x. And when x is 0, that's when you're going to have, that's where the y-intercept is. So the y coordinate of the y-intercept just means what's the y value of the y-intercept. Again, kind of a, nomenclature, tricky wording, but really means just basic, understanding of function notation. Number 7 says the length of a rectangle is 4 times the width. So first thing I'm going to do is write L equals 4W. And it says the area of the rectangle is 144. So I know that area equals length times width. All right, so I got 4W is the length times W, which is the width. And that gives me 4W squared. 4W squared equals 144. Divide by 4, I get W squared equals 36, and W equals 6. All right, so just again, understanding some basic geometry and reading the problem carefully. Not much more to it than that. Question 8 is again, slope intercept. They give you y minus 5x equals -6. And so what you want to do is rearrange this in slope intercept form. Y equals 5x minus 6. You see the slope is 5. The y-intercept is -6. All the graphs have -6 as the y-intercept. And just be careful when you look at the scales for each x and y axis. Sometimes they're different. In this case, they're both the same. They each count by 2. But you can see that the only 2 graphs with positive slopes are B and D, and the one with the steepest slope is B. And you could actually go ahead and pick 2 points and calculate, the slope to confirm that B, answer choice B, has a slope of 5. All right, number 9, basically, again, basic slope intercept. All right, so what you want to do is just use the equation of a line, y equals mx plus b. Again, find m, right? In this case, we've got 4 minus a -2, which is 4 plus 2, over 2 minus a -1, which is 2 plus 1. So that gives us our slope, which is 6/3, which equals 2, okay? And then we can plug back in any of the points, right? So we've got y equals 2x plus b. I'm going to plug in 4 for y and 2 for x. And I got 2 times 2. So it's obvious that b equals 0, right? Because this is 4 equals 4 plus b, so b has to equal 0. In number 10, again, word problem. The easiest way to do these word problems is just plug in numbers. It says, given that equation, which of the following statements is consistent with the equation? Well, if I plug in m is 0, I know the surface area is 1,321. And then if I increase m by 1, I know the area increases by 0.3433, which is answer choice A. For each increase of 1 gram in mass, A increases by approximately 0.3433, okay? Pretty straightforward, all right? Number 11, you just got to work with the angles here. They give you this angle here, there's a Q, and this angle is 30, okay? And then you also know this angle here is 30, okay? And this is R, okay? And then you've got this, I'm just drawing this half of the circle here. Okay, so this, since this is 30 and this is 30, this angle here has to be 120, okay? Because these 3 angles form a line. So I got 120 degrees. We know that to convert from degrees to radians, I just multiply by pi over 180. This cancels, or divide by 60 on top and bottom. I get 2, and I get 3 in the bottom. So this equals 2/3 pi, which is answer choice C. All right, next problem says, okay, it says what values of x satisfy the equation above? So here you have to recognize the difference of squares, okay? You looked at the other fractions, you see x plus 3 and x minus 3. You should be obvious to you that x squared minus 9 can be written as x plus 3 times x minus 3, okay? And then when we write these other fractions out in the equation, it should be obvious that we could just multiply everything, each term, by x plus 3 times x minus 3, all right? And this will cancel out, this will cancel out, you'll be left with x minus 3 in the numerator and x plus 3 in this numerator, okay? Sorry for the bad handwriting, but now it's much easier to solve the problem. 4x squared minus 2x squared, right, plus 6x equals x plus 3. Just rearrange. I got 2x squared, right? Bring the x to the other side, it becomes negative, plus 5x minus 3, okay? And now I set it equal to 0, okay, or it is equal to 0. And then I just factor to solve that. First term's got to be 2x here, this has got to be x over here. That should be obvious to you. I need two numbers that multiply to be -3, but when I FOIL it out, the middle term will be 5x. So I'm going to try -1 here and +3 here. And then when I FOIL it out, that gives me my 5x in the middle. Now I just solve this. 2x minus 1 equals 0. And so 2x equals 1, x equals 1/2. All right, which is the correct answer. This one would give you x equals -3, but you can't have -3 because -3 here would give you 0 in the denominator. So difference of squares, and then I call it clearing denominators. Just multiply by, the largest common term or biggest term in the denominator that will clear essentially everything out from the denominator. In number 13, what you're doing is you've got the volume of a cone. They give you the formula on the front page of the test, front page of the math section. If you forget it, 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay, and so these cancel. The 1/3 pi is canceled. You get 1 equals r squared h. Okay, h is 9, so we got 1. We got 9. 1 equals r squared 9. R squared equals 1/9. And then I just take the square root, top and bottom, and I get r equals 1/3, which is answer choice A. In question 14, basically you're just multiplying two variables that have exponents. And so you've got r to the 2/5. I rewrite the square root. This is a times symbol that they draw in there. Square root of r just becomes r to the 1/2. Okay, if you got a square root of r, there's a 1 here that's implied, and there's a 2 here implied. So this becomes the numerator, this becomes the denominator. And then just add the fractions. I got 4/10 plus 5/10, and that equals 9/10. So I get r to the 9/10. All right. That's r. That's r to the 9/10. That's choice D. Okay. So for number 15, what we want to do is to plug in numbers. An easy point to plug in is the age, which is the x-axis, 55. When I plug that in at 55, my y value should be 50. Okay. And so it looks like choice B and D would both work. Plugging in 55 for x would give you a result of 50. So those, it's either between B and D. Then I notice the parabola is facing downward, so that the negative term, that -1/320, that tells me that the parabola should face downward, and the answer choice for 15 is B. For number 16, what we want to do is they've got 210-mile trip. He does the first 60 miles in 1 hour. So he does an hour at 60 miles. So I subtract 60. Now I've got 150 miles, and he's going 50 miles per hour. So I just divide this by 3, and that gives me 150 miles divided by 50 miles per hour, and that gives me 3 hours. All right. For number 17, it tells you, it's just complicated looking equation, but not that hard. Just plugging in W equals 2. So I get 2z, W squared is 4, minus 3 times 2 minus 10 equals 2z. So this is 8z minus 6 minus 10 equals 2z. And so I know that 8z minus 6z, minus 2z, sorry, that's a 2z, equals 16, or 6z equals 16. Z equals 16 over 6, which equals 8/3. All right. So just basic substitution and some algebra. And then for 18, what I want you to realize is what value of x satisfies the equation. it's a no calculator section, so try a perfect square. If you try 1 for x, it doesn't work. If you try 2 for x, it doesn't work. I mean, I'm sorry, if you try 4 for x, it doesn't work. And if you try 9 for x, you get 9, again, perfect square, minus 2. Square root of 9 is 3, okay, minus 3. So I get 9 minus 6 minus 3 equals 0. All right, you can do the algebra, but it will take you quite a bit of time to do it for this problem. So when you see something like this, no calculator section, square root, try a couple of the smaller perfect squares. See if you can get it right away. For number 19, we're just doing systems of equations. They want to solve this for x. Pretty straightforward. Just add the two equations using elimination. We get 2x equals 5 or x equals 2.5. All right. And then the last problem, pretty straightforward. Well, I wouldn't say straightforward, but if you see it, it's pretty straightforward. So basically what you've got here is you've got infinitely many solutions. That means the two equations are the same. The two lines are essentially the same, right? And then that would give you infinitely many solutions. You've got two lines that are right on top of each other. They intersect at every point. So what I want to do is I want to make these two sides the same, which means that 2k has to equal 1, or k has to equal 1/2. All right, so went through it quickly, but a lot of these problems are pretty straightforward, and hopefully that helps. Look forward to seeing you during our next session. Have a great day.